discovery workshops help really well to figure out the must-haves versus nice-to-haves in a product.
I think the next couple slides, I dive a little bit deeper into the 5 different types of workshops with like some suggestions. So here we kind of dig into like a deeper description or definition of a discovery workshop. So you can see here that it's just a great place to curate specific activities that will help your team align on like a really common definition or description, figure out exactly what the end point is of the project, and discuss maybe what's not working or what is working well about a current state. So again, you're just really like talking to all of the stakeholders on a project to kind of figure out where are we starting, where are we going, where are we ending. It's a really important time to have those alignment conversations so that you don't get into the middle of a project and start being like, oh, my head's swimming, I'm so overwhelmed. The scope is starting to grow. People are asking for lots of different things. If you've done a really good discovery workshop and it's documented well, you don't have to be the final arbiter. You can point back to that information. You say, no, this isn't in scope. This isn't something we're going to work on right now. Because look here, this is what we decided. I have these templates. I have a SWOT analysis. We've already done the hard work to establish a shared vision, and this isn't part of it. So it's a really great kind of way to like establish authority and alignment for a project. And there are lots of different activities that you can do for that, as I mentioned. You can create alignment diagrams, which is basically a map of swim lanes of all the different teams on a project and how their activities sort of boil up to impact the customer experience. You can do a heuristic markup of your existing product or comparative assessment of like competing products, SWOT analyses, RACI charts, project charters. I love establishing like shared values at the beginning of a project. I've often found that when trying to mitigate scope creep later on, it's a really great way to kind of go back and be like, well, we decided at the beginning of a project that this particular value was paramount. And so I'm, trying to make decisions around that. And can you explain how your request here fits into that? And then you can have a conversation with people and try and help bring them around. Or they can convince you maybe what they're asking for actually does fit into the value and you just didn't see that at first. So it's kind of a great grounding tool. Some of the top potential topics for a discovery workshop, again, establishing UX guidelines or establishing project guidelines, opening conversations with your stakeholders, technical complexity. That's another great place to have a discovery workshop, because if you don't really understand what your IT team is doing and what their systems look like, then you're going to really run into some problems when you get to the design phase. So uncovering complexity is really critical. The earlier, the better. Reorienting priorities, and then doing a heuristic analysis and kind of looking at like what are the standards that we're working with, and how does our existing site or how do our competitors' sites live up to those standards? So you can kind of figure out like a quick look in e-commerce is a great example. Like that's obviously an expected feature now. It wasn't always. And so doing heuristic analysis can kind of help you figure out like what are the things that other sites are starting to implement that maybe we want to go ahead and invest in, so we don't have to do it in a year or 2 years. We can be kind of on the front lines of whatever that feature is.
Particularly in e-commerce, usually there are very large appetites and people want a lot of features, and they obviously want to serve the clients as much as they can in the best way they can. Discovery workshops help really well to figure out the must-haves versus nice-to-haves in a product, right? And you were mentioning certain features that became a must-haves today, right? You have to have certain features for people that people recognize and they utilize. But a lot of times, we run into projects where clients saw some funky feature on another website and it feels great, or it seems like it's such a cool feature, later on to find out that it was a poor investment because the users aren't really utilizing it. A great example I could give you, we many years back, we worked on a project with Hellsberg Diamonds, which is it's a huge retailer in a luxury industry, and silver beads became a big thing back then. And so they wanted to build a silver bead builder where you could customize and build your own bracelets. And we spent 4 months designing it, building it, perfecting it, making it work on every outdated browser. And mind you, the technology wasn't quite there yet. So we were pushing the envelope and then integrated with the e-commerce to later on learn that their pre-made designer bracelets that were put together by professional jewelry designers were outselling 10 to 1 for the custom bracelets, simply because people are not they're not artistic, they're not creative. Yes, it's good to know that you have the option to build your own thing, but very often it just fails because people want to buy the beauty, something that someone who professionally thought it through and just gave you the final product. So this was kind of a point for us where we started to really advise our customers that sometimes features look cool, but doesn't mean that they will work. So discovery workshops really help figure these type of case scenarios out.
Yes, they do. I've also found that those customization features can be quite buggy, and that's often a real deterrent. Like if you get into the customization module and it's not working the way you expect it to, it can be very frustrating, especially on mobile. I've seen some really genuine efforts to make those work, and it's just not the way you want your brand represented. And so having a discovery workshop, running that competitive analysis where everybody's going and they're saying like, we're going to look at these competitors' customization modules, and maybe we found some over here and make suiting or something that's also similar. You can kind of break it down and start to figure out what the patterns are, and then you see what's working and what's not working.